When my daughter-in-law posted on social media that watching me try to learn Python was like watching a dinosaur use a smartphone, I knew exactly which tech company I'd apply to first. Hers. The comments section loved it. Laughing emojis. Crying faces. One person even said, "At least she's trying, right?" with 3 skull emojis. My son liked the post. That hurt more than Jessica's words. I was 58 years old, sitting in my home office in Portland, staring at that phone screen until the words blurred. My husband Thomas had been gone for 3 years. My teaching career of 32 years had ended with a retirement party and a gold-plated Apple paperweight that now held down bills on my desk. My 2 sons were busy with their own lives, and I had discovered that the silence in a house that used to be full of voices was louder than anything I'd ever experienced, in a classroom full of teenagers. So, I'd started learning to code. Not because I needed money. Thomas had been good with investments, and my pension was comfortable. I did it because one morning I woke up and realized I had maybe 30 more years on this earth, and I didn't want to spend them just existing. I wanted to create something, build something, prove that my brain, which had absorbed pedagogy and Shakespeare and adolescent psychology, could also absorb algorithms and syntax. But according to my daughter-in-law, that made me ridiculous. Jessica had married my older son David 4 years ago. She was 29, confident, always perfectly put together with her blowout hair and designer athleisure. She worked as a social media manager for a tech startup called Apex Innovations, and she never let anyone forget it. Her Instagram bio read, "Making brands viral, living that startup life." At family dinners, she'd talk about engagement rates and conversion funnels, while I'd ask questions, genuinely curious. She'd answer with barely concealed impatience, the way you'd explain something to a child who keeps asking why the sky is blue. "It's pretty complicated, Mom," she'd say, even though I'd asked her to call me Margaret. "You kind of have to understand the digital landscape." I'd smile and nod. I'd been doing that a lot lately. The Python comment came after Thanksgiving dinner. We'd all gathered at David's house, this beautiful craftsman in the Pearl District with exposed brick and industrial fixtures. Jessica had cooked, which meant she'd ordered from 3 different restaurants and arranged everything on serving platters. Over pumpkin pie, my younger son Marcus asked what I'd been up to. "I've been taking an online coding boot camp," I said, trying to sound casual about it. "It's challenging, but I'm enjoying it." Jessica's fork stopped halfway to her mouth. "Coding? Like computer programming?" "Python, specifically. I'm working on a project that analyzes—" "Oh my God, that's adorable." She turned to David. "Babe, your mom is learning Python. That's so cute." The way she said cute, like I'd told her I was taking up finger painting. "It's never too late to learn new skills," Marcus said, but his voice was uncertain. "Totally," Jessica agreed, her phone already out. "It's great that you're keeping your mind active, Mom. My grandmother does Sudoku. Same concept, right?" I watched her type, watched her hit post, watched David lean over and laugh at whatever she'd written. I said nothing and ate my pie. Later that night, lying in bed, scrolling through my phone, I saw the post, the laughing comments. The way she'd hashtagged it, Tech Grandma, Boomers Be Booming, Coding Queen. And that's when I made my decision. I wouldn't argue, wouldn't defend myself, wouldn't explain that I'd already built 2 functional web applications and was at the top of my bootcamp class. I'd simply become so good that she couldn't laugh anymore. I checked Apex Innovations' careers page. They were hiring for 3 developer positions. Senior level, remote work, required skills, Python, JavaScript, React, problem-solving abilities. I bookmarked the page. For the next 6 months, I disappeared into code. My bootcamp instructor, a 26-year-old named Dev, who had more energy than my entire junior year English class combined, started giving me extra projects. "Margaret, I've been teaching this bootcamp for 4 years," he said during one of our video sessions. "You're the most dedicated student I've ever had. Have you thought about making this a career? I'm 58, I reminded him. So? I know developers in their 70s. Tech needs people who can actually think critically and solve problems, not just kids who memorized frameworks. I built a portfolio. 5 projects, each one more complex than the last. A budget tracking app. A recipe organizer with meal planning features. A tool that analyzed reading levels of texts for teachers. A social media sentiment analyzer. A task management system with AI-powered priority suggestions. I documented everything: clean code, clear comments, professional README files. I taught myself React, Node, JS, databases. I joined coding communities, asked questions, helped others debug their problems. At family dinners, which happened once a month, Jessica would ask how my little hobby was going. "It's going well," I'd say. "That's great. It's so important to keep learning at your age." Then she'd launch into a story about some campaign she'd run that got 10,000 shares, or how her boss called her a genius. I'd smile and nod. In March, I applied to Apex Innovations. Not as Margaret Sullivan, though. I used my middle name and maiden name, Maggie Chen, the name on my birth certificate before I'd taken Thomas's last name when we married. Legally, it was still me. But Jessica, who'd only known me as Margaret Sullivan, would never make the connection. I tailored my resume perfectly. Listed my boot camp, my projects, my skills. Left off my teaching career except for one line. Experienced in breaking down complex concepts and mentoring learners. Under education, I listed my recent certifications prominently and buried my master's in education at the bottom. The application asked for age. I left it blank. Legally, they couldn't require it. 2 weeks later, I got a call from their HR director, a cheerful woman named Amanda. "Maggie, your portfolio is impressive. Especially that sentiment analyzer. How long have you been coding?" "About a year seriously," I said, which was true. "But I've been solving problems my whole life." She laughed. "I love that. Can you come in for a technical interview?" "Actually, wait, I see you're in Portland." "We are too, but the position is remote. Would you be available for a video interview next Tuesday?" My heart hammered. Absolutely. The technical interview was with their lead developer, a sharp woman in her 40s named Priya. She gave me a coding challenge. Build a function that would analyze user engagement patterns and predict optimal posting times. I recognized it immediately. It was similar to something Jessica had complained about at dinner 2 months ago. Their analytics tool was garbage, she'd said. It couldn't predict anything worth a damn. I built the solution in 40 minutes. Not just the basic function they'd asked for, but a complete module with error handling, edge case coverage, and clear documentation. Priya's eyebrows went up. "This is exceptional work. Can you walk me through your thought process?" I did. Explained each decision, why I'd chosen certain approaches, how it could scale. "Maggie, I have to ask. Your resume says you've only been coding a year. This is senior-level work." "I'm a fast learner," I said, "and I spent 30 years teaching high school English. You learn to think systematically when you're managing 150 teenagers every day." She burst out laughing. "Fair point. Okay, one more question. We have a bug in our main application that's been driving us crazy for 6 weeks. It's related to data synchronization. Would you be willing to take a look?" She screen shared the code. I studied it for 10 minutes, then spotted the issue. A race condition in their async functions. I explained the fix. Priya was quiet for a moment. Then, "When can you start?" I started 2 weeks later. Remote work, which meant I could do it from my home office. The same office where I'd sat reading Jessica's mocking post 6 months earlier. My first day, there was a team video call. 20 people on screen. I recognized some faces from Apex's website. And then I saw her. Jessica, in a square near the bottom. She was typing something on her phone, only half paying attention. The VP of product, a man named James, introduced me, Everyone, this is Maggie Chen, our new senior developer. She's going to be working on improving our analytics suite. Maggie, do you want to say hi? I unmuted. Hello, everyone. I'm excited to be here and looking forward to working with you all. Jessica glanced up briefly, gave a polite smile, then went back to her phone. She didn't recognize me. Why would she? I was Maggie Chen on the call. My video showed me in my office, and I'd styled my hair differently. I'd also started wearing glasses for screen work, which changed my face enough. Over the next weeks, I dove into the work. I fixed the 6-week bug in 3 days. I rebuilt their sentiment analyzer from scratch, making it 10 times faster. I created a predictive posting tool that actually worked. And I interacted with Jessica almost daily. It was surreal. In our work Slack channel, she'd message, @Maggie, any update on the analytics dashboard? I'd respond professionally. Should be ready for testing by EOD tomorrow. Awesome. This is going to make my life so much easier, lol. At family dinners, she'd sit across from me and complain about work. Our new developer is pretty good, she said in September, picking at her salad. Total relief because our last few hires were useless. This one actually knows what she's doing. That's wonderful, I said, passing her the bread basket. Yeah, her name's Maggie. She's older, I think. Like, you can tell from how she writes emails. Very formal. But whatever, as long as she codes well, right? David nodded. How's your coding going, Mom? I've been doing some freelance projects, I said, which was true. I'd picked up a few small contracts under my Margaret Sullivan name, keeping busy. That's great, Jessica said, barely listening. It's good to have hobbies. In October, Jessica messaged me on Slack about a new feature idea. I built it. She loved it. She presented it in a meeting as if it were her idea, only mentioning our dev team in passing. I said nothing. In November, there was a company-wide project. Apex was launching a major new product, and everyone was working overtime. Jessica created a campaign that was heavy on promises, but light on understanding what the product actually did. The CEO, a man named Richard who'd founded the company 8 years ago, called a meeting. This campaign messaging doesn't match our product capabilities. Who wrote this? Jessica shifted in her video square. I did, based on the brief I received. The brief was clear. Did you actually look at the product? I mean, I looked at the feature list. That's not the same as understanding it. Richard's voice was sharp. This makes us look like we're lying to customers. We need someone who actually understands the technical side to work on this. Priya spoke up. Maggie could do it. She understands the product better than anyone. Great. Maggie, can you partner with Jessica on revising this? I unmuted. Of course. For the next week, Jessica and I worked together. She'd send me copy. I'd send back technical corrections. She'd get frustrated. Can you just tell me what it does in simple terms? She'd message. I'd explain, carefully, breaking down complex features into clear language, the same way I used to explain Fitzgerald to 16-year-olds who insisted they'd never use this in real life. Oh, she'd write back, that makes sense. Why didn't anyone explain it that way before? Sometimes it helps to have someone patient, I'd reply. The revised campaign was good. Really good. Richard praised it in the next meeting, specifically calling out the clear, accurate technical explanations. This is what I want to see, he said. Jessica, great work partnering with the dev team. Jessica beamed. Thanks. Maggie was really helpful. It was the first time she'd acknowledged someone else's contribution in a meeting. Small growth, but growth nonetheless. By December, I'd been with Apex for 8 months. I'd fixed major bugs, built new features, and quietly become one of their most valuable developers. Priya told me I was up for a promotion. You've done senior-level work from day one, she said in our one-on-one. I want to make you a lead developer. You'd mentor our junior devs, architect major features. Interested? Very interested. Great. We'll announce it at the Christmas party. The Christmas party. Of course there'd be a Christmas party. It was scheduled for December 20th, a Friday evening. In person, at a rented event space in downtown Portland. The first time the fully remote team would be together. The first time Jessica would see Maggie Chen face to face. I thought about skipping it, but that felt like cowardice. And I'd worked too hard to hide now. I went shopping for the first time in months. Bought a deep green dress, elegant but professional, got my hair done, wore the pearl necklace Thomas had given me for our 20th anniversary. The event space was beautiful. String lights, a jazz band, tables laden with food. I arrived right at 7 when it started. Amanda, from HR, spotted me first. "Maggie, oh my God, you look amazing. I'm so glad you could make it." We chatted for a few minutes. Then Priya came over, introduced me to a few people I'd only known from video calls. Everyone was friendly, curious. Several people mentioned how much they loved my code comments. "They're so clear," one junior developer said. "It's like having a teacher explain everything." I smiled. I've had some practice with explanations. Then I heard her voice. "Wait, where's the new dev? I want to finally meet Maggie in person." Jessica, in a stunning red cocktail dress, holding a glass of wine. David was next to her in a suit. And walking behind them, my younger son Marcus, with his girlfriend, my whole family. Here. Because of course they were. David worked in finance but had connections to the tech scene. He'd probably been invited as a plus one. I had about 5 seconds before she saw me. Amanda was talking. "Oh, Maggie's right here. Maggie, come meet." Jessica turned. Our eyes met. I watched her face cycle through confusion, recognition, disbelief. Her mouth actually fell open. "Mom?" The conversations around us died. People turned to look. "Hi, Jessica," I said calmly. "Hi, David. Marcus." David looked between us. "Mom, what are you doing here?" "I work here," I said. "I'm Maggie Chen. Well, Margaret Chen Sullivan, technically. I've been using my maiden name professionally." Jessica's wine glass was trembling in her hand. You're Maggie. You're the senior developer, lead developer. As of tonight," Priya said cheerfully. Apparently not reading the room. We were just about to announce it. "But you." Jessica's voice was faint. "You said you were doing a hobby. Learning Python. You posted about." I posted about. The horrified realization on her face would have been satisfying if it weren't also so painful to watch. Marcus got there first. "Wait. You've been working at Jessica's company this whole time?" "For 8 months," I confirmed. "The analytics suite," Jessica whispered. "The sentiment analyzer. The posting predictor. That was all you." "Yes. But why didn't you tell me?" This was the moment. The moment I could have said something cutting. Something about how she'd mocked me, belittled me, hashtagged me as a joke. Something about how she'd never once considered that I might actually be good at this. Instead, I just said, "You never asked." The silence was deafening. Richard, the CEO, chose that moment to clink his glass. "Everyone, can I have your attention? I want to make a quick announcement. Oh no, this year has been incredible for Apex. We've grown our user base by 300%, launched 2 new products, and secured Series B funding. And a lot of that success is thanks to our amazing team." People clapped politely. But I want to specifically recognize someone who joined us this year and has absolutely transformed our technical capabilities. Our analytics suite went from our biggest weakness to our biggest strength. We fixed bugs that had plagued us for months. We built features I didn't think were possible with our current team. Jessica's face had gone white. "Maggie Chen, can you come up here?" Everyone turned to look at me. I walked to the front, very aware of my family's eyes following me. Richard shook my hand. "Maggie, in 8 months, you've done what I expected would take 2 years. You've mentored our junior developers. You've improved our code quality across the board. And you've done it all with patience and professionalism that honestly puts the rest of us to shame." He handed me a glass plaque. "Lead developer. Well deserved." And if I'm being honest, you should probably be running our whole engineering department, but let's save that conversation for your next review. People laughed, applauded, someone whistled. I looked at the plaque, looked at the crowd, found Jessica's face in the audience. She was crying, not dramatic crying. Just tears running down her carefully made-up face while she stood very still, like moving would shatter her. "Thank you," I said to Richard. "I'm honored. And I want to say that I've learned just as much from this team as they've learned from me. Collaboration makes us all better." More applause. The moment ended. The party resumed. I made my way back through the crowd. People stopped me to congratulate me. I smiled, thanked them, kept moving. Jessica hadn't moved. David had his arm around her, looking confused and uncomfortable. Marcus just looked impressed. "Mom," David started, "I don't understand. Why didn't you tell us?" "I tried to," I said gently, "at Thanksgiving last year. I said I was learning Python. I was excited about it. But it became very clear that my excitement wasn't welcome." Jessica made a small sound. David's arm tightened around her. "Jessica," I said directly to her, "can we talk? Outside?" She nodded mutely. We stepped out onto the venue's patio. The December air was cold, our breath visible. Inside, the jazz band started playing something upbeat. "I'm so sorry," she said immediately. "Oh my God, Margaret, I'm so sorry." That post. The things I said, I was such an asshole, I supplied. "Yes." She flinched. I was a complete asshole. I don't know what I thought. That you were just filling time? That it was cute that you were trying? I know what you thought. And then you became Maggie. You worked with me every day, and you never said anything, and you were so nice and patient, and—" Her voice broke. "I presented your work as my own. I complained about you being formal. I called you old without knowing I was calling you old, and oh my God, the irony is killing me." Despite everything, I almost laughed. "Why didn't you tell me?" she asked. "Why didn't you reveal yourself sooner? Why help me at all?" "Because," I said carefully, "I didn't do this for revenge. I did this for me. To prove to myself that I could, that age doesn't mean obsolete. That my brain still works, still learns, still creates. You proved it. And as for why I helped you," I sighed. "Jessica, you're not a bad person. You're young and ambitious and sometimes thoughtless, but you're not cruel. You just didn't see me. Really see me." "I see you now," she whispered. "Good." We stood there in the cold for a moment. "Are you going to fire me?" she asked. "I can't fire you. I'm a lead developer, not your manager, but you could recommend it. Tell Richard I'm incompetent." "Are you incompetent?" She thought about it. "At the technical stuff?" "Yeah, kind of. I don't understand it well enough. So learn," I said simply. "That's what I did. At 58, she said, and there was wonder in her voice now, instead of mockery. "You learned to code at 58 and got good enough to become a lead developer in 8 months. That's insane." "It's dedicated," I corrected. "And I had a good teacher. And 30 years of teaching experience that taught me how to learn." "Could you?" She hesitated. "Could you teach me? Not coding. I know that's not my thing. But how to understand it better, so I can do my job better? So I'm not just making promises I don't understand?" This was not where I'd expected this conversation to go. "You want me to mentor you? If you can stand to be in the same room with me after everything I did, yes." I studied her face, the genuine remorse, the humility that had never been there before. "One condition," I said. "Anything. You take down that post. And you post an apology. A real one." She pulled out her phone immediately, deleted the old post. Started typing a new one. I watched over her shoulder as she wrote, "A year ago, I mocked my mother-in-law for learning to code at Namwitam. I made jokes. I was condescending and ageist. Today I found out she's the lead developer at my company, and she's been quietly teaching me and helping me for months without me knowing. Margaret. Maggie. I'm sorry. You're brilliant, patient, and kinder than I deserve. I'm lucky to have you as family and colleague. Also, I'm taking down all my ageist hashtags. I'm sorry, ageless talent. Never too late. She hit post. Good start, I said. We went back inside together. David and Marcus rushed over. Is everything okay? David asked. Yes, Jessica and I said at the same time. Mom, this is incredible, Marcus said. Lead developer? That's amazing. Thank you, sweetheart. I can't believe you didn't tell us, David said, but he was smiling now. I wanted to prove I could do it first, I admitted, before anyone's opinions could get in my way. Mission accomplished, Marcus said. The rest of the party was surreal. People kept congratulating me. Priya introduced me to some investors who were there. Richard pulled me aside to seriously discuss that engineering director role, and Jessica stayed close, looking at me with new eyes. At one point, she said quietly, when you were helping me revise that campaign copy, you knew I had no idea who you were. Yes, you could have made me look stupid, taken credit, gotten me in trouble. I could have, I agreed. But what would that have accomplished? Justice? She offered weakly. Maybe, I said. Or maybe I'm just too old to care about making people look stupid. I'd rather make them better. She laughed, a little wetly. Okay, that's way too wise. Stop it. We left the party around 11. David drove Jessica home. Marcus walked me to my car. Mom, he said, that was the most epic thing I've ever seen. It wasn't meant to be epic. Doesn't matter. It was. You literally became a lead developer just to prove her wrong. I became a lead developer to prove myself right, I corrected. Big difference. He hugged me. I'm proud of you. Dad would be proud too. That made my eyes sting. Thank you, baby. Driving home through Portland's rainy streets, I thought about Thomas, how he'd always encouraged me to try new things, how he'd probably be laughing his head off at this whole situation. My phone buzzed at a red light. A text from Jessica. Thank you for not destroying me tonight. I meant what I said. I want to learn. I want to be better. Jay, I typed back. First lesson, never underestimate someone because of their age. Second lesson, always read the technical documentation. See you Monday. 3 dots appeared. Then, see you Monday, Maggie. Or should I call you Margaret now? I smiled. Maggie at work. Margaret at family dinners. Both of them are me. Both of them are amazing. Christmas dinner a few days later was different. Jessica had printed out my code from the sentiment analyzer and brought it to show David's parents, my ex-in-laws who I still saw occasionally. Look at this, she said, genuine enthusiasm in her voice. This is what Margaret wrote. Isn't it beautiful? It's code, honey, David's father said, squinting at it. Exactly. But look how clean it is, how organized. She comments everything, explains her logic. It's like art. I caught David's eye. He mouthed, "What happened to her?" I just shrugged and smiled. After dinner, Jessica cornered me in the kitchen. So, I've been thinking about your offer to mentor me. Yes? What if we made it a regular thing? Like, once a week, you could teach me the basics of how the tech actually works. Not to code, but to understand it, so I can communicate better with the dev team. That sounds reasonable. And maybe, she hesitated. Maybe I could teach you some social media strategy? Not that you need it, but if you ever wanted to build your professional presence, I could help. I considered it. You know what, that could be useful. Deal. We shook on it, there in the kitchen, with Christmas music playing in the other room. Hey Margaret, she said. Why did you really do it? The whole Maggie Chen thing. You could have just gotten a job somewhere else and proved yourself without all the secrecy. I thought about it, honestly. Part of me wanted to see if I could. If I could work alongside you and be good enough that you'd respect my work without knowing it was me. I wanted to know if my skills could speak for themselves. They did, she said quietly. God, they really did. I told David like 5 times how good Maggie was. How she was the best dev we'd hired. How professional and patient she was. And yet you thought Margaret, the woman learning Python as a hobby, couldn't possibly be that person. She winced. I'm never going to live that down, am I? Probably not, I said cheerfully. But you'll grow from it. And she did. Over the next months, Jessica became one of my strongest advocates at work. She started reading technical documentation. She asked questions instead of making assumptions. She credited the dev team in meetings. She took down all her posts that made fun of boomers and tech. She grew up, and I kept growing too. By spring, I was director of engineering. By summer, Apex had tripled its engineering team, and I was in charge of hiring and training. I hired based on skills and problem solving, not years of experience. I hired a 62-year-old career changer who'd been a nurse. I hired a 55-year-old who taught himself to code after being laid off from manufacturing. I hired brilliant 23-year-olds too, but I made sure they understood that talent doesn't have an age limit. Jessica interviewed each new hire for the marketing team's perspective. She told them all the same story. Our director of engineering learned to code at 58. If you think you can't learn something, you're wrong. You just haven't tried hard enough yet. Sometimes, late at night, when I'm debugging code or architecting a new system, I think about that Thanksgiving dinner. About Jessica's post. About all those laughing emojis, and I smile. Not because I proved her wrong, but because I proved myself right. I could learn, I could grow, I could build a whole new career at an age when society says you should be winding down. And the best part? The revenge, if you want to call it that, wasn't in becoming her boss or making her look foolish. It was in being good enough that she wanted to learn from me. That she respected me, that she saw me as a person, not a punchline. That's the thing about quiet victories. They don't need to be loud to be profound. Last week, Jessica sent me a message. Hey Margaret, I'm thinking of taking an online course about data analytics. Think I'm too old at 33? I wrote back, you're never too old to learn. Trust me on this one. She sent back a heart emoji and learning from the best. And you know what? She was right about that.